AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi has jointly moved the Supreme Court to challenge the Waqf Amendment Bill. This legal action comes in the midst of heated parliamentary debates that we witnessed in both houses of the parliament. The bill has been passed by both houses. Mr. Owaisi joins us for a chat. Thank you, Mr. Owaisi, for your time. My first question to you, sir, we all heard your speech and you raised a lot of important points. One of your main contention was the fact that there will be inclusion of non-Muslim members in Waqf councils and also in state Waqf boards. Home Minister Amit Shah has clarified that the non-Muslims in Waqf councils, the ones who will be appointed, will not interfere in religious matters. In fact, he has also said that the government has no intent to do that and that these members will be involved in purely administrative activities. Do you see that as a measure of relief?
See, the Home Minister, unfortunately, being in such an important position, was trying to mislead the parliament and the nation. If you see the Central Waqf Council, out of the 22 members, 11 can be and will be non-Muslims. 10 have to be Muslims. That is what the law says, in the bill says. You come to the state Waqf board formation, out of 11, compulsory 4 have to be Muslims. The remaining can and will be non-Muslims. So basically, you will be managing the affairs of the Waqf board, which is not possible in the Hindu endowment board or in the Jain endowment board or in the Gurdwara Prabandhak committee. That in itself is a grave violation of Article 14, Article 25, freedom of religion, and Article 26, which gives all religious denominations the right to establish and administer and take movable, immovable properties for their religious purposes. So unfortunately, the Home Minister was misleading deliberately.
Also, Mr. Owaisi, several private properties, we're talking about Gurudwara land in Haryana and some temples in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. The Munambam issue has also become a national issue now. Section 40, which has now been removed. With a new bill, these lands will be free for rightful owners. The residents of these places, often from Hindu and Christian communities, have been resisting what they see as completely arbitrary takeover by Waqf boards. These are lived experiences, and it's stories of such people that makes us wonder if there was really a problem with the way Waqf properties were being announced or managed. So this should come as a welcome measure, isn't it?
I have been a member of the Joint Working Committee, and I can share with you right now that when I had asked this particular question along with other members about this so-called misuse of Section 40, the reply we got was in last 30 years, only 518 times the Section 40 was used, and out of that, only 8 people have gone to the court. Now that same Section 40 provisions exist in Tamil Nadu Endowment Board and in Telangana and Andhra Endowment Board. And you require Section 40 because if someone creates a Waqf al Aulad, you have to know what is the Waqf al Aulad. You can use Section 40. Now, in one case, Supreme Court has accepted that with the usage of Section 40, that property was saved. There are cases, you're right, but you can go to the Waqf tribunal. You can go to the courts. Who's stopping you from doing that? But that does not mean that you remove Section 40. You might be having a genuine grievance, but to remove a particular section, omit it, that is completely wrong.
Right. Also, Mr. Owaisi, a major part of your speech was on Waqf by user, which also limiting the Waqf tribunal's ability to recognize properties based on historical usage. You said that it violates Article 26. Now, the Limitation Act, I understand, is a bar on individuals from filing cases after a certain period of time. Essentially, this provision also ensures that Waqf board is not limited by the statutory time frame of 12 years to file a case. But Mr. Owaisi, over the last few years, we've understood that the country is also a diverse one, that with the history that goes back centuries. So clearly, if there is one Waqf property based on oral traditions, there could be temples based on older oral traditions. So how will a timestamp on a property based on its usage for several decades address a conflict like this?
Madam, do you know that in Transfer of Property Act, there is a thing called hiba. And if a Muslim is dying, orally he can gift his property to his children. That is acceptable. But here, when I'm making a property, I'm saying I'll give it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not going to be acceptable. Thirdly, the Waqf user was upheld by the Supreme Court in Ram Mandir judgment. And it is illegal that a government will completely turn a Supreme Court judgment. And please understand, you have to understand, give me 1 minute extra time. See, if you have a property, 123 properties in Delhi, which are illegally occupied by government, according to such a committee. Now, tomorrow, if I go to government against those monuments, right, the government will say, oh no, we have brought section 3D. You know, section 3D, not many media people are calling, are mentioning. It was moved on the day of the debate. And 3D say that if it is a protected monument, ancient monument, ASI, forget about it. Because you have enlarged definition, I lose that monument. If it's a government property, government will appoint a designated officer from the government, which is against the principle of natural justice. How can he decide? Thirdly, if I go and say, okay, I want to remove the encroachers, the government is saying we have removed the limit, we will apply Limitation Act. In what way am I going to save my property? If as a Waqf board, I cannot use Waqf by use against the government, where will I use it? The same provision exists in Hindu Endowment Board, Jain Endowment Board. And please understand that a famous jurist called B.N. Mukherjee, he has written, he's an authority on Hindu, he's a famous Hindu jurist. You are denying everything to me, then how can I protect my Waqf property? So there you have created a mechanism. That definition of Waqf by user is completely mera fide. It will not work. You have to see, no one can say, oh, I touched this is Waqf by use. No. Supreme Court has said from time immemorial, there has to be evidence shown that I have been using it for so many years. That becomes Waqf by user. You are denying me. How will the Muslims be able to protect all those properties? And I'm telling you, Kashi, Gyanvapi, Mathura, Sambal Masjid now, the Sambal Masjid, because you added 3D, at the time of registration, it will not be a Waqf property because you added 3D. So I'm losing everything. That is what I have been shouting from rooftops, that this act will take away masjids. I have been proven right, unfortunately, in a bad way, because this 3D clearly says.
But Mr. Owaisi, you are seen as one of the most articulate parliamentarians. Aren't you apprehensive that your politics will be seen as regressive if you oppose what is being seen as an important reform measure?
You are using your majority in parliament. This is a coalition government, not to reform, but to destroy, but to take away all the rights Muslims have. You are by enacting a law, you are waging a war on Muslims. Now, let me give an example. Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, as the then Minister of Minority Affairs, had moved one bill in 2014, if my memory serves me right, called Eviction of Unauthorized Occupation Bill, to remove the encroachment. In 2024, that bill was withdrawn. Why did you withdraw that bill? And the MoMA ministry has a scheme called Qawmi Taraqqiyati scheme. In 10 years, how many Waqf properties have you developed? Please tell me. How much revenue have you increased? You are trying to destroy the Waqf board, and then you're saying with a poker face, oh no, we are doing it for reform. You're saying, oh, we are making women the member. What a lie this is. In 95 Act, there was the section said at least 2. Now you have made it mandatory only 2. So these are not reforms. These are legislations made to take away the Muslims' religious identity, to erase them forever. That is what this legislation is trying to do.
Mr. Owaisi, my last question to you, sir. You were part of the JPC on Waqf. Would you at least agree that in the last 2 days, the deliberation that we saw in both houses of the parliament presented an exemplary parliamentary tradition that had gone missing in this whole din of protests and walkouts in the last few sessions?
Well, I'm telling you in a very serious way. It was the BJP MPs were flabbergasted when the truth was told to them. When we started saying all these things, that how there is no difference between a Hindu dan or a temple by usage, mud by usage, Limitation Act doesn't apply on them. Both guy, only a Buddhist and a Hindu can be member. They didn't know how to react. And you know, I mean, I can say now, and also the whole committee proceedings, you know, the shocking part was an organization was called whose members were convicted in blast case, in terrorism cases, and they came and told us. And you know, another amendment that was moved about a Waqf property cannot be in scheduled tribe area of 5th and 6th schedule. Hamdullah Saeed is an honorable member of parliament from Lakshadweep. He's a tribal. Can you take away his right to religion, freedom of religion? Can you take away Article 26? Can you take away Article 14? Can you take away Article 26? Legally a Muslim can be a tribal? How can you make this legislation? So tomorrow in Lakshadweep, all the masjids would not be masjids anymore. The dargahs or khanqahs will not be waqf property anymore. This is what we're trying to say. Yes, the deliberations happened, but in a week we're sitting for 4 days. Every time 3 hours, 4 hours. It was, I must give credit to all the members, irrespective of which party we belong to, but it was, you were pushing us. And unfortunately, had it been for another 4-5 months, a more fruitful legislation would have come, and the government was not ready, unfortunately, to listen to our viewpoint, to accept all these issues. They just wanted to bulldoze and have their say. So, okay, now they have created an unconstitutional legislation which will be challenged and which will be rejected by the right-thinking people of this country.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Owaisi, for joining us on this broadcast. That is MIM MP Asaduddin Owaisi on the recently passed Waqf bill and also his disagreements with it. His party has already moved Supreme Court against the Waqf amendment bill.